Hello everyone, this is update for March 16, 2024, day 752 of the war and of the date update. Also catch up for March 15 and March 14. There is not really that much going on, so it's going to be pretty short. So first is general strategic updates is Niger, which is country in Sub-Sahara or maybe even Sahara Africa. They pushing out. Well, it's actually I would say Russia is pushing out U.S. troops from Niger. Don't remember exact number, but it's around like plus minus 1,000 soldiers there, or 1,000 troops. Soldiers probably not the right expression, but in any case, Russia is pushing out U.S. Military base from Niger. The formal reason is that Niger government is canceling agreement with the U.S. to station military base there. So I think nobody's surprised. At this point, France already was pushed out. Now just US is left there and probably going to be pushed as well the same way. Then now switching to the situation in Ukraine. I would say that the only bright spot or very reasonable move that Ukrainian military command is actually doing these days is attacking Russian commodity producers, because it's export oriented, it's earning, it's a main source of income, it's main source of value add for Russian government. Not only, but it's also not only financially important, it's also important in terms of physically providing fuel for the war, and attacks against those refineries. They definitely contributing strongly to the war effort from Ukrainian perspective. By itself, they will not change the situation. This doesn't mean that things will somehow change, but just attacking those refineries, and not just refineries I mentioned before. There are attacks against the iron ore producers, steel smelters, and so on. So basically, everybody who is producing export commodities, which obviously Russia is, they are highly liquid in them on international markets. So Russia will always be able to sell it, and it's proven with the spectacular failure of the sanctions against Russia, which I mentioned long time ago that they're not going to work out because this is something the world needs. It's Russia will be able, always will be able to sell it, and the most sensible actually solution is to create plentifulness of those resources and reduce prices, which is what was done by, I think, Reagan administration in the 80s when the price for crude oil collapsed, and it really put final nail in the coffin of the Soviet Union. The reason, actually, the root cause for the collapse of the Soviet Union was obviously its internal problems, but that drop in the crude oil price really, made it sort of real, sort of by the final trigger for the collapse. So that was the only right solution. It was never implemented because there is this misguided war on energy, on conventional energy in the Western world, which doesn't work. You hear all of these headlines that the demand for electric vehicles is not there, and it's not going to be there ever. So again, that also spectacular failing at this point. Going back to the situation in Ukraine, the most sort of unsensible solution by Ukrainian military command is this continuous attacks against the Belgorod region of Russia, a little bit even Kursk region. This is for those who sort of not very familiar, this is Belgorod region, this is Kursk region. So the attacks mostly kind of like the most southern tip of the border with Kursk region, and then sort of mostly it's a Belgorod region. It's waste of Ukrainian resources, doesn't achieve anything, and you know Russia is it's not making Russia weaker. Or basically, it's one-sided loss of resources for Ukraine, which it doesn't have enough already. Those resources could be much better utilized on actual front line. In terms of actually situation overall on the front line, there is generally a reduced level of Russian activity. The only sort of main areas on the entire front line where still Russian command is putting some effort is the west of west of Avdiivka and west of Marinka, and even there the effort is down noticeably. This may mean, obviously, I don't have reports from the Russian general staff, but this may mean that Russia does not have enough resources temporarily. I'm not saying that this is sort of forever situation, or they are regrouping, and we'll see something major in coming weeks or months. But it's all very extremely hypothetical with very low chances of probability. All it is clear that there is not enough resources, or they being moved, as I said before. This doesn't, as I mentioned again before, doesn't mean that situation is under control from Ukrainian perspective. It's just the Russian pressure is not there, not strong enough to continue collapsing the front line. So as soon as that resumes, things will go negative for Ukraine again. So this story about the front being stable is just a myth at this point. Now I'm gonna do a walk through the front line just to kind of keep everything chronicled properly. So the situation along the state border remains, I would say, more or less without any changes. And from Ukrainian perspective, it's the same, because obviously there is no sign of Russian reinvasion from this area towards Kyiv, or basically sort of northeastern part of Ukraine. Now let's move to the North Lugansk front line. Things here are actually pretty much quiet. It's just generally quiet in totally quiet sense. With obviously there are skirmishes, but beyond that, there's not really much going on here. Now let's move to the North Donbass front line. Things here in the northern sector are also quiet. Surprisingly, they are quiet also in the southern, which means west of Bakhmut and southwest of Bakhmut. This is not every day, but the activity is definitely significantly down. Now let's move to the central Donbass front line. Things here are more or less the same. Russian troops continuing pressure to completely break this defensive line that's based on Berdichi or Livka Donenke. It's semi-destroyed, but as I said before, there is apparently not enough free resources to throw into the battle, so the attacks are not as strong, and so therefore Ukrainian troops can hold on for now. Whether there will be sort of new resources thrown or not, this is what will define how things gonna play out here. But in any case, in a war of attrition, even the status quo means slow but inevitable loss by Ukraine. Similar situation is going on here to the south, west of Marinka. Russian troops continuing their attack. Again, the same at reduced strengths, and therefore there are no immediate results. Now let's move to the Zaporizhya front line. Things here are fairly quiet. Some Russian pressure around Robotyne, which is half lost by Ukrainian side, but Russian command is still aggressively trying to capture Robotyne, even though the activity is down. Like what I'm saying is, by aggressive, it's persistent. It's just persistent desire to basically eliminate this wedge in the Russian defenses. Now let's finish with the last section of the front line along the Dnipro River. Things here more or less the same as they always are. Status quo. Ukrainian bridgehead remains. No really meaningful effort by Russian side to eliminate it. Just sort of remote attacks. By that I mean, artillery, mortar fire, gliding bombs, and this FPV attacks, which means it's kamikaze UAVs or kamikaze drones. But obviously, with that approach, that bridgehead can exist forever. So essentially, there's no real effort from Russian side at this moment to eliminate that bridgehead. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye bye.